Hey guys, so I just want to talk to you today about some of the recent happenings with nature and wildlife and humans. And if you haven't been paying attention, most recently there was a 2-year-old boy who was pulled into the water by an alligator at the Grand Floridian Resort at Disney. And this is a tragic accident, and my heart goes out to that family that is struggling right now with a really hard time. But this isn't the first accident that has happened in the last couple weeks and within the last year. Unless you've forgotten, a few weeks ago, there was a man who walked off the path in Yellowstone and straight into a bubbling sulfuric hot spring. Yes, he died. And that was because he failed to read signs, and he decided that for some reason he must be exempt from all of the rules and regulations and possibly exempt from what happens when you go into a sulfur pond. So he died. Sorry, but that's what happens when you don't follow the rules. Secondly, there was the 3-year-old boy that decided it was a good idea to jump into a gorilla enclosure. And what did that result in? The gorilla dying. And I know that a lot of people are up in arms about this, and I think that's good. And that's really the first time in my memory that people have actually taken the side of an animal as opposed to the human being. So I think that was a real good thing for animals. And then, if you didn't know about this, over 5 people that were gored by bison in Yellowstone. And you want to know why? Because they decided that it was a good idea to get out of their vehicles, stand as close as 5 feet from these animals, turn their back, and try and snap a selfie. Yeah, not very smart. And you deserve getting a horn up your butt if that's what you're going to do. There was even a family that decided to put a baby bison in its minivan, also at Yellowstone, which is one of the most visited parks in this country, and apparently has a lot of morons. Almost all of these incidences resulted in the deaths of animals. And right now in Florida, they have already killed over 5 alligators in the search for the baby boy's body, which they have now recovered. But I'm sure they'll kill more alligators, trying to figure out which one did it. If you didn't know, there have been less than 6 deaths in the last 10 years from alligators. But on the other side of the world, in Africa, over 2,500 people a year die from crocodiles. That's almost 8 people a day. Or more than 8 people a day, actually. So if you look at both sides of the picture here, we're really freaking out over nothing. And yes, it's tragic, but look at all the other terrible things that are going on in this world, and let's really look at what is a tragedy. If you're going to go on a vacation anywhere, I don't care if you're going to New York City, you should know something about that place. You should know the areas that you shouldn't go to. You should know the areas that are dangerous. And if you're unwilling to educate yourself on what kind of people, places, or animals exist in a place that you're visiting, well, then it's your own damn fault if something bad happens to you. And I'm sorry, this may seem harsh, but it's the truth. People that live in Africa and people that go to visit there know that it's full of wild animals. You don't see people out at watering holes with their children because they know that that's where animals go to get water. Lions and wildebeest and all kinds of animals that could easily kill you, that's where they are. And if you want to tell me that Florida doesn't have alligators at almost every water body, you're out of your mind. And if you're too dumb to know that, then you shouldn't go to Florida. It's not Disney's fault that this happened. And I'm not going to blame the parents here because they're going through a terrible time right now. But assume all water bodies in Florida either have an alligator or a shark in it. And take the necessary precautions. You put sunscreen on when you go in the sun, don't you? Well, you'd think that you would watch out for alligators when you're in a swamp. I don't care if it's man-made or not. How many times have we seen photos of alligators at golf courses? Yeah, 1,000,000 times. So let's use our common sense, people, and turn on your brain when you're outside of your home. So this is my call to action that all of you people out there should get a clue. You know, I went to Yellowstone when I was a very small child, and before we left, my father told my sister and I all of the things that you need to know about bears. He told us what kind of bears live in Yellowstone. He told us what to do in every instance of every different kind of bear, because some bears can't climb trees and some can. So you have to climb a tree if you're going to be attacked by a grizzly bear or a brown bear. And a black bear, you need to play dead. Don't ever run, and you have a whistle with you. And these were the things that I was taught because my dad wanted us to be prepared and to have knowledge about where we were going and that there were wild animals there and that we had to be careful, regardless of whether or not we were in our car, on a hiking trail, or in our cabin at the hotel. And these are the same things that people should still be doing today. But you know what? They're not. They assume that if there is anything dangerous anywhere on this earth, that it is someone else's responsibility to tell them, and it's also their responsibility when something bad happens. Well, you know what, people? It's time to get a clue. So turn on your brains and don't leave your house until you do. Because if there continue to be more tragedies with animals and nature and places that are dangerous, then you know what? They're just going to be off limits to everyone because of people's stupidity. So this is my call to action to get a clue. And I want to know what you guys think. Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm being completely harsh and irrational? Well, let me know at Alice L. Ford. Tweet me your comments, your questions, your hatred, whatever you want. But I want people to get a little smarter because nature and animals are the gift of this world. And I want people to be able to enjoy and protect them for the rest of our lives on this earth. And if people continue to do stupid things, then especially our government here in the United States is going to make it more and more difficult and less enjoyable for people to be able to have those amazing things.